all started with looking at the vinyl culture and vinyl toys, which had just recently become not just a toy phenomenon, but an art phenomenon, where really people were able to take a vinyl character and paint them up in a multitude of directions. There's ones that don't even look like characters remotely, but they were art pieces in themselves. And through that, there's grown this little art community. And we kind of realized that there's a lot to be drawn from that and being able to use it as a basis for a character for a kart driving game.
There's a model, a base, a blank that you start with. At first, we thought, oh, okay, is this going to be too limited? And what the character artist did with that model, and I'm not even talking yet about the community, I'm talking just about our artists here, I think gave everyone in the team the optimism that this is a platform that people can make anything with.
I think what they see the first time is this sort of cute racer, you know, that has kind of interesting looking characters, some creative, some cute, some creepy, but they're blown away when they actually have it in their hands and they see sort of the power that our editors have.
The team was really familiar with making racing games. They could pull that off for sure. But the tools that we're making it's like making Photoshop. You know, when you put that much power in someone's hands, it's got to work.
In the early days, we pretty much let people do almost a little too much. So we like to use one of our game designers as an example. He could create the most hideous characters and the most hideous carts first time out. So we said, how do we rein that in so that people can do whatever they want to do, but still make great looking stuff?
We made the conscious choice to restrict only to assist the user in getting there, not to restrict because we think that a character should look this way or a cart should look like this.
Our challenge was always, what do we take away, and at the same time not take away creativity.
That's absolutely probably been the hardest thing for us, is to get that to be easy to use and then still have enough pieces to those tools for sure.
It really is that spirit that people go in there and they start playing with the studio tools and they are actually surprised by the power that they didn't know was in there.
Having the user being able to access all of the decals and seeing what different ways they can use them, be it the height maps or the specularity and the reflectiveness of it, we found, and I'm sure they'll find too, that there's a lot of potential to meticulously make a lot of things that you wouldn't think you'd necessarily be able to do.
It's not a linear path. If you want to go in and just build characters and mods and you know, share that with the world, you can do that.
Just how much we enable people to really express themselves, I think, is a surprise.
I remember when the character design Aloha came from the script, I was like, how will we make this guy? I just didn't think it was possible. And then about 3 hours later, messing around with some of the decals that we have, actually had something I was like, this guy is actually really cool. And there's a couple of little touches with odds and ends. His necklace in particular, he's got one of those big, huge island necklaces that go all around the proximity of his head, not his neck. And that was the nice little trick that made it work and makes them instantly recognizable on the track and in the cart. It was good to see. It was one of those moments where you're like, wow, we really can make a very rich character that actually has character the moment you see them. Any of the characters, if you choose a set of eyes in the game, they'll be actually animating in there, and there's a range of expression. We figured in the course of a race, it'd be nice to have varying degrees of being annoyed.
People have really felt inspired on the team, and guys who you wouldn't necessarily think would be great character kart track designers have gone in there and just made some amazing stuff. So there'll definitely be day one a bunch of content from UFG seeded by us, and we'll have our names in there so people know who made it.
It doesn't need to be 20 different shapes in terms of scale for it to be a creative platform.
The platform's always labeled initially as where it's come from, but it's cool to see where people will take it and just see what is possible. And that's the most exciting thing for me. It's cool to see directions taken that haven't even crossed my mind yet.